daun-daun, bigla mo kasahan juga kalau soalnya itu terkadang.
Hello, this is Jimmy T with Ion Inyomono. Today we're honored to have the amazing Mayor Karen Kong. Welcome, Mayor.
Nice to see you this morning.
Today I asked her to come in and do a quick update. So could you cover the Chamber of Commerce queries?
Info. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So back on the 22nd of August, engineering team from Wood Roberts came to town, spent about 3 hours at the chamber, inside and outside, and walked all around to see what was what. We're waiting. There is a very good possibility that the report will be out this week. Fingers crossed. As soon as it's out, we'll blast you guys and the public and social media with the reports, and then we'll see what happens from there.
So this is the second report after you...
So yes.
Third.
So there was a building inspector report, and he came and said, and he put the red tag on the addition part.
Yes.
that hangs over the creek. He thought just by looking on the outside that the A-frame looked okay. So he didn't red tag it. The next step in that process is to get an engineer report where they know all the details and ins and outs and stuff that I know nothing about. And so that's what happened on the 22nd. They came, like I said, they spent 3 hours inside and outside of the building checking things out. And yeah, we're hoping the report will get here this week.
And boys and girls, become an engineer. They pay a lot of money. And like you said, they had to call in the engineer to check it out. And lots of money. It's a good, good job.
So this first engineer report, and I say first because there is a chance there'll be a second. This first engineer report cost us about $20,000. And it will give a detailed list of what is wrong.
Yes.
There will not be prices on it to fix what is wrong. They will just tell us what's wrong. And so as we move forward in this process, the next step will be, okay, what does this look like? Is it, is it so bad that we don't even want to see what prices look like? For me, the idea is, I think it's important to figure out what the price would be to fix it versus what the price would be to tear it down, right? If those numbers are close to one another, then, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm not the end-all, be-all decision maker, so there are 5 of us who will make this choice. We know how the community is feeling about it. I think that I felt really bad for the community because they sort of felt like this came out of the blue. It did not. We've been talking to the chamber board and Tony Thompson about it for almost 3 years. Not to mention the fact that 15 years ago, we knew there were issues with that other building and we went to try to fix them. But sadly, the way that the building was built, it was up over that waterway. And so anything that happens up and over that waterway has to have Fish and Game approval. And so the idea of we'll have to get approval to tear it down and we'll have to get approval to fix it. So the whole thing is kind of this big, I'm going to use the word mess.
Can you divert the creek?
No. Goodness gracious. He almost made me curse. No diverting the creek. And I think that's one of the pieces that was confusing to a lot of people was that, they're just like, oh, it's just this little thing in the park. No. It's an actual creek. It's not a man-made thing. It's the creek. And so that changes everything.
Federal waterways, right?
Yes, I believe so. Or state waterways. Nothing is. So it's not some man-made thing we made to make the park look pretty. It's an actual creek.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big mess. And I, there's a lot of he said, she said going on out there in the public. And that's just perfectly normal and natural for people to do that. And at some point, getting to the truth of what maybe should have been happening for 20 years versus what actually happened in 20 years. I mean, it just is... in my 5-year time, 3 of those years we've been talking about moving the chamber. And so I know for the first 2 years I was there, they were constantly there repairing things and fixing things. That poor roof is really in some really bad shape.
Hindsight is 20/20 with really bad astigmatism. So in 20 years, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think the other big missing piece of this is that the community wants to save the building. It's my understanding that Chamber is in process to purchase another building. And so for us as a council, I think we really need to hear from the Chamber to say, if you spend this money, we will stay there, versus we're going to move to this other place regardless of what you do to that building. We have yet to hear that from the Chamber at all. And so it's really sort of making a decision in a vacuum that way.
Are there any estimates on how much it would cost to replace the building if you got permission?
No, we haven't even got there yet.
To like $500,000.
Oh, I don't even want to know. We got an estimate for 2 soccer fields, no lights, no fencing, no seating, for about $2 million for 2 soccer fields. So yeah. I imagine that a building would be a lot more. And so if the Chamber decides, as we look down this road, there's lots of different directions it can go. If the point is save the building, have the Chamber stay, we need to make sure the Chamber really wants to be there.
Yes.
If it's save the building regardless of whether the Chamber stays or not, then what do we do with the building? And then of course there's not save the building. So and then depending on what this engineer report, I guess the other possibility could be save just the A-frame and tear the second piece down if the engineer report comes back and says the A-frame's okay. I don't know. We're gonna all see together, I'm afraid.
This is a multifunction variable, and there are so many unknowns.
So many unknowns. I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah.
But you keep hitting on an important fact of economics. If it's a large item, you need to figure out how much the replacement cost is versus how much it costs to maintain it. The federal government had this really great idea. Says, we're not going to buy any new airplanes, but you can replace all the parts. So they took a nut and they built an airplane around it, because
then that was good stuff.
But that was good still.
Right. And in addition to that conundrum, you have the conundrum of, if this is going to cost $1.5 million, what could the city do with $1.5 million? And is it really fiscally responsible of us to put $1.5 million into one building when we could do sidewalks and
another
park programs and
a half?
No, and all the regular repair stuff we had to do was that, we're going to have, sorry, I hit that. We're going to have to go under, at some point, we're going to have to go under West Line and do a water replacements project. I mean, there's lots of stuff that has to happen. And so my responsibility, and I think all of the council's responsibility, is to decide, sentiment versus reality. And sadly, we're not going to know the answer to that until we see what the money looks like.
Because you only have like a finite amount of money.
Correct.
Well,
correct.
And which would you prefer? Oh, it's got an A-frame, or you have this hole on West Line Street. I can't.
Well, and I wish it was that cut and dry. It's not. It's more like I talked to enough of these people on the phone and in person and at council meetings that there are a lot of people that their heart and soul really feels this strongly. And I'm not diminishing that in any way. I just think that we have to figure out, where our responsibility lies to the public at large, and how much money is too much money.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer yet. And even if I knew what I thought, I got 4 other people here. We have to make a decision together.
Absolutely. How's the rest of the city council going?
Good. So our new city administrator
Started. I do that all the time.
started on yesterday, on the 2nd of September. And so Pam Foster, if you don't know, we hired Pam Foster, a longtime local. And so she started to work yesterday, and Destin Deshawn is going to stick with her for most of the month. There's a lot of ins and outs of things that probably more than I even know, of all of the intricate details of parks and public works and finance and everything else. And so he's going to stick with her and try to get her up to speed on, most of it during the next month or so. And then she'll be on her own. And so it's a big transition time for us. When we were lucky enough to get Destin on board, he'd been there for 20 years. And so he the ins and outs were already there in his head. And so this is in some ways starting from scratch. Luckily, she knows the community, which is a huge plus, and all the players, but not necessarily the down and dirty of it all.
There's a job description and then there's a reality.
Of course.
Jordan.
Of course. And so for us as a council, it's about getting used to a new person there and how we do those communication styles. I don't know if the public knows, but the Brown Act, which covers elected officials, requires us, and you're going to think this sounds funny, requires us not to speak to one another about topics.
Yes.
We can say, hey, how are you? How's your dog? That kind of stuff. But if I talk to councilperson A about a topic, I then can't go talk to councilperson B about a topic. And the person I talk to first also can't go talk to another person about it. It's like a one and done situation. And so the city manager, city administrator, depending on what you have as a city, their role is really to help that communication continue to flow. And so we tell him things and he goes and does whatever he can do and makes that communication, a big piece of it. And so figuring out how that new communication style is going to go with this new person, how does she like it, her figuring out how 5 of us prefer the communication to go is going to be a big learning curve for all of us.
The Brown Act, it's a good law. The application is
So I'm not going to say it's a bad law because my father was in the Attorney General's office when they created the Brown Act as an attorney. So I can't tell, sorry, Dad, I can't say it's a bad law, but it does hamstring a lot. But on the other hand, if you were shady as a politician, not that there are any of those, but if you were shady as a politician, the Brown Act keeps that in check.
Yeah, it's 99% of those lawyers that give the other 1% a bad name.
I'm not even going there. I've got too many lawyers in my family.
So tell us about other projects that are coming up. Did we learn any more about the real estate development behind Taco Bell?
The real estate development behind Taco Bell. It is still moving forward. Sadly, in the state of the nation that we have right now, prices are continuing to go up and up and up and up and up for construction costs. And so we have 2-3 projects that are, that every day they relook at the costs and take a big heavy sigh and figure out how to make it work. Luckily, the developers who are in the project in the Kmart behind Taco Bell are experienced enough and large enough that the absorbing of those costs are not so much as if you were a one-man show, like some of our other operations are. So yeah, it's moving forward. Slow and steady wins the race, I guess. All of us would like to get out there with our sledgehammers and take that building down, but we know it's coming. Nothing bad has happened. It is still on its way.
Yes. What other projects are going on?
Well, I wanted to talk about something.
Okay.
It's not a city project, but it certainly impacts the city. So I had a long conversation with a guy from an organization called, get this, Californians Against Bigger Trucks. Okay. That's a funny name.
Okay.
And he was telling me, about these 2 things that are on the federal level that will impact trucks in California. So the first one, trucks, I don't know if you knew this, I certainly did not. Trucks can't be more than 80,000 pounds. That's the pound limit. So there is a pilot program running through the federal government level in which they want to change that to 91,000 pounds. Now, imagine, if you will, what the difference in those 11,000 pounds will make on our roadways. And for cities like ours, where the trucks go straight through, to have all these trucks at that bigger weight is a lot of cost and a lot of mess. In addition, this pilot program is quite interesting because it allows states to either opt in or opt out. But I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. If Utah opts in and Nevada doesn't, does that mean the trucks stop at the Utah border and change out things? My thought is no, that's not the way it's going to work. And so I just think it's a big thing that I'm trying to keep my eyes on because, again, we have trucks. The second truck thing is, go back to that one. So as a pilot program, they have to set up things as metrics, right?
Yes.
How is this pilot program working?
Yeah.
The only metrics they have are death by accident, not accidents in general. No, just death, and fatigue of the drivers. Those are the only, so they're not looking at roadway damage. They're not looking at regular accidents. They're not looking at anything else. Those are the two metrics. And so as you can hear, those two metrics are very limiting in what we know can be problems with this huge increase on the roads.
Because with mechanics and materials, the trucks, they have to have a tire that's so wide and so much footprint. Otherwise, it distributes the weight too much. It'll rut roads. It'll crack concrete. It'll get ruts in asphalt.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. And that's one of the things. I pay this many dollars in taxes every year. Yeah, how much damage do you cause? So it's kind of
right. Yeah, and so there are some big companies that are pushing this at the federal level. It's still in the process going through, but it's really important that we keep an eye on it, and that hopefully I had a little conversation, a very brief conversation with Kevin Kiley about it when he was here last week. The other one that's moving, that's if it's possible, feels a little ickier.
Mm-hmm. Ickier. Worse. Worser, even worse.
Not even worser, but ickier. Is an act they're calling the Move On Act. It is a emergency proclamation that if it passes at the federal level, any governor can make this emergency proclamation, and then all weight limits are out the window. Because the emergency thing is the idea that we need supplies so badly, let's hurry things up. Right? So remember when there were the big fires down south, right?
Yep.
Newsom was able to say, we're gonna do whatever he did special for those people so that he could rebuild. This is the same kind of thing, but with trucks. But again, sadly, once they're on the road, the idea that we're going to be able to pull them off again when the emergency is over is a foolish thought, it seems to me.
Pandora's weight box.
Limit. Exactly. Pandora's weight limit. And so, yeah, I think those are two things that are super important for us. And if you're interested in that the California's against bigger trucks, I have a contact guy who I talked to. They have a lot of stuff on their website. I'm going to be talking to the council about it next week, about possibly writing a letter from the council saying this is going to be a big impact for us because we're not the only small rural city that trucks drive through. And so it's a big issue all around the nation that I think we ought to pay attention to.
The small towns can't really afford to replace roadways every 3 to 8 months.
Correct. And so then you're going to get, if they do go up this 11,000 pounds, then you're going to get ruts and you're going to get holes. And then, it's going to impact our life of our cars, not to mention safety and all the rest of it. So.
Whoa. Do you have anything positive going on at the...
Do we have anything positive?
There's lots of stuff. These are upcoming, so we really need to concentrate on those.
Yeah, no, I just think the city itself is really humming along nicely. We're advertising for a building inspector / code enforcer. Right now, the way that it works is we're sharing a building inspector with the county. And that worked well for a while. But now that there are more projects coming within the city limits, we just decided that it was time for us to have one of our own so that he could be dedicated to the things within the city limits. And we didn't have to be like, no, sorry, you can't move on with your project today because the inspector is in Darwin or wherever they had to go. And so we're advertising for that. And so that'll be a really great bonus for all the people in town, whether you're building a small ADU or new siding on your house or whatever. If we can find one, we'll get someone here who will be here dedicated to the city of Bishop. So that'll be really great.
Any more jobs posted?
I think there's one more. There's one more. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
But again, I want to give a big shout out to the Public Works Department because the little park by Amigos, people just trash it all the time. And they're always there instantly to fix it and clean it up.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
That's a thankless job, but I want to thank you guys.
Well, I know I was thinking I would talk about the new electric bike stuff, but I know you already had our chief on to talk about that.
You can do a brief coverage because you're the mayor.
Well, I just think, this was one of the things that I brought up a year or so ago, saying, it's frightening for me as a mom and a grandma. It's frightening for me to see one or two kids on an electric scooter, a little one in the front and a bigger one in the back, and they're helmetless and they're zipping down the road and
backwards on the highway,
doing a lot of things that are frightening. Yeah. And we need to make sure that those kind of things are not happening. I think there are plenty of people who use their electric bikes and scooters safely, and those people shouldn't be too impacted by this. But the ones that are look scary, those are the ones that we're trying to make sure that they obey the rules. And it should take, I think it'll take effect in about 30 days.
I like those guys because they give me a pure adrenaline rush when they pull out in front of me in the dark.
In the dark. I did see an adult, those little buggy things that you attach to your regular bicycle.
Yeah.
That you put your babies in. They had one attached to an electric bicycle the other day. And I just thought to myself, oh goodness, let's hope there's nothing in there. They got their backpack in there and their groceries or something, because they were going fast. And I just envisioned that little baby in the back there bouncing around. So sometimes I don't like it very much. I'm not really a big government kind of gal, but sometimes it's our job to make sure we protect our citizens from themselves.
Common sense is a weed that doesn't grow in everyone's garden.
Well, and I've learned, if I didn't know before I ran for office, common sense is it's sort of elusive, and it's like perception, right? Whatever you feel like you've got, it's your perception, and that's reality, and that's kind of the way common sense is. And so yeah, just the idea that if I see there's these two boys, I see high schoolers, side by side on their electric scooters, on electric bikes every day riding to school. They got their helmets on, they got their backpacks on. They're not going, they're not late for school, so they're not zipping. And kids like people like that. Great, do your thing. It's the others that we need to keep safe.
Good judgment.
Well, and as people who drive cars, I don't want to have that on my conscience, right? That was when people argue with me about seatbelts, which people still do, which is interesting. I say some of it is for us, right? Have you ever been to Texas?
Yes.
They don't make motorcycles wear helmets on the freeway. It scares the bejesus out of me.
I'll tell the mayor off camera what my thought was.
Oh, okay.
No,
I mean, it's just frightening because they zip around just like they do in LA, but their helmet, their bare heads are there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited that that's in place, and that it's going to be, hopefully people will, we're not looking really to ticket people. We're looking for people to say, this is the way it needs to be.
Do we have any new businesses opening? Have you heard of any?
No, I have not heard of any. Have you heard of anything?
No.
So, okay. I mean, there are businesses that will be. So that Rolling Chef has purchased that one building, and they have some plans that have been turned in, and they're working through the planning process and doing things behind the scenes, I imagine, to raise money and do all of that. So that'll be super exciting when it gets in there.
And the big shout out to Little Looney Bean and the Great Basin Extension.
Right.
Over in the
not in the city limits, but yes, over there.
Sorry. It's one of those things that people are growing, and the mall isn't empty anymore.
No, it's super great. Yeah. I mean, and as soon as we get that Marshall's in there,
woo! Yes.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty excited about that, even if it's not the city limits.
Cool. So do you have any idea about how many tourists we have for September?
No.
Sorry for
not a single clue. Sorry.
How are revenues?
Revenues are what they are. I mean, that's the thing about when you create a budget. We have such a fabulous fiscal person who makes it clear that even if it's a bad month, it doesn't impact us in the big picture.
Yeah.
And that's, we're not living month by month, thank goodness, that we have some nice reserves, and we're working on getting those big infrastructure projects funded.
Cool. Pardon me, any last thoughts, last words?
I encourage people to come to city council meetings. You know, people have been like, have you, friends of mine, the things have been like, all those people are coming to meetings. I love all those people coming to meetings. I love when people have thoughts and ideas, even if I don't agree with them, even if they're mad at me. I still appreciate people in the seats, in the audience. We're doing a big thing about a water sewer report. Everybody should find out about it because it's a big deal. And, so come, put your butt in a seat and listen and contribute. Because I think it's great. I love having people there.
Absolutely.
So that's my plug.
Be there.
Be there. Come to a meeting.
It's our government. If you're not there, it belongs to someone else.
Well, and besides, it's just to have people there looking at you and nodding their heads in agreement or scowling at you when you say something just really gives you the feeling that the community is participating. I had someone say to me the other day, I'd never been to meetings before and I've been to 3 now, and wow, you guys really do a lot of stuff in a meeting. And that alone is super important information for the community at large.
Absolutely.
That's my plug.
Cool. Mayor Karen Kong, thank you for coming very much.
Thank you.
How does someone contact you if they want to?
Oh.
You'll go to the city council meeting.
Or you can email me or call. My cell phone number, 760-920-8165. And my email address is kkong@cityofbishop.ca.gov. Super easy. I try really hard within a 2-day period to respond to every email I get.
Awesome. Mayor Kong,
thank you
again. This is Jimmy T with Ion Inyo Mono. Today we were honored to have Mayor Karen Kong. Mayor Karen Kong. I say that all the time.
It's okay.
Of Bishop, California. Be tremendous. Hi, I'm Jimmy T. This is Jason Brown. We just got back from seeing the movie Sketch.
Great movie.
Theater, Bishop Twin Theater. Yes or no?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up on this one.
See it again?
I would see it again. Well, yeah, I gave it 2 thumbs up. I did. I would own it. I would buy it. I'd watch it again. I would own it, and I'd buy it again.
Tell me what's
so I don't know how many times I'd end up buying it, but I'm gonna buy it and buy it and buy it. What's the premise of the movie? This is the fast version for everybody. This isn't so fast. Premise of the grief. How to deal with grief, and finding out that the dark individual through all of this was actually working through the grief, while the other people maybe weren't working through the grief, trying to sell the house. The house wasn't selling because the guy couldn't keep his butt out of the house because something happened. Had to keep running in with people trying to buy the house, and ultimately great character arcs and tears at the end. Yeah, that kind of right?
Absolutely. But there's a lot of themes in this. It's wonderful. One of them is that you have an inbox and an outbox.
And
you love that on the inbox and you don't let it out, you're going to crash the system. So that's what the old girl was doing. She was taking so much on the inbox.
But be careful how you deal with the outbox.
Yeah.
She was using art for her outbox.
And
unfortunately, the art falls into this pond that brings all of the stuff to light.
Be careful of the cartoon monsters you draw. The only good thing is she had the backstory on the characters. It's just like,
so she knew how to deal with it.
How do you defeat it? I don't know. You created it. This is a fun movie. There are a couple of intense moments, so the younger children might have.
Yeah, I don't know what you let your kids watch, but definitely 6 and under could have nightmares from this. 6 to 8, possibly. You could always cover their eyes at a certain moment of time period in the movie because there are horror type of vibes to the movie. Not saying that is a horror movie, but they give you that scare moment that might be a little intense for children.
They're cartoon
monsters. The music leading up to it, the bangs, the windows, the little things like that, that could be some intensity to it.
Everything's great. The acting is outstanding. The dialogue, you will laugh. If you don't laugh, you shouldn't be in the movies or watching this TV show. The scenery is just outstanding. The special effects.
Oh my goodness.
They are another notch up from normal CGI.
One more thing, in an Angel Studios thing, it did not have a religious theme through it at all. So, if you are anti going to Angel Studios movies because you don't want to be preached at, you are not going to be preached at this movie. Just go, enjoy yourself, and have a good time. They did a really good job.
This is 2 thumbs up.
And this is Jason Brown, other known as DJ Beepa and DJ T Sizzle.